Hello, hello, and welcome to this forecast for the first eclipse of the eclipse season and the first Libra eclipse that we will be having in this Aries Libra eclipse axis. So we already 6 months ago had our first Aries eclipse, and this will be our first Libra eclipse. And Aries and Libra, here's Aries and Libra, are opposite each other in the chart, and that's how eclipses work. Usually they work in opposites. This particular season, because the nodes of the moon, which is what sort of dictates where the eclipses are happening, they look a little like this. There's the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. It looks a bit like it's in Scorpio there, but if you look here, it's in Libra. It's just because there's a lot of things piling up in the Libra space that it looks pushed over. So the nodes are currently in Aries and Libra, and therefore that's where the eclipses are happening. But as I was saying, in this particular eclipse cycle, this one and the one previous 6 months ago, we are sort of having a changing of the guards. So in March, April, we had two Mars-ruled eclipses. We had a Scorpio eclipse and we had a Aries eclipse. And those are both ruled by Mars, and they are both more, and they're not opposite each other for a start, and they're both more fiery and feisty and active and go gadget go. Whereas now we're having two Venus-ruled eclipses, where we're having the last of the Taurus eclipse coming up in 2 weeks, the last of the Taurus eclipses, and we won't be having another Scorpio one. That was our old axis that we were working with for 18 months. So this process is it will last for 18 months, and then the nodes, which move backwards, just travel through the axis of two opposing signs. And signs opposite each other are kind of like, well, first of all, you can't look at one without looking at the other. So if you're standing in the center of the chart, imagine that this is where you're standing, and you're looking at the Aries side, you can't see directly behind you. You'd have to turn around and look at the other side, and then you can't see directly behind you again. So when we are focusing on Aries energy, it's like we can feel the Libra energy, but we can't see it. And when we turn around to focus on Libra, we can feel the Aries energy, but we can't see it. So to be fully focused on one side of an axis is to take your focus off the other side. So oftentimes we have this interplay between the two, where we have to look here and then we have to look there, and we have to dance between them, or we look at neither of them and we kind of just intuitively hold the space for, in this case, Aries, me, original fire, cardinal fire, and Libra, we, the deep space of relating and relationship. And this is a Libra eclipse. So it's a new moon eclipse, which means sun and moon are together here at 21 degrees of Libra. So you want to look at whether you have things near or about 21 degrees of the cardinal signs. So not just Libra, obviously it would be opposite. Oh, right, there it is. It would be opposite that if you had the things at around 21 degrees of Aries, that would be also cardinal. That's opposite. And then we would look at the squares from there. So the other two 90-degree axes would be Cancer and Capricorn, and that would also be around the 21-degree mark. And I would say just the last decan, so 22 to 29 even, because we've got Pluto at 27 degrees of Capricorn. That's quite intense in the sky right now. So it's kind of squaring, Pluto is squaring these eclipses, which is very strong, because Pluto having a strong position in any reading is powerful, because Pluto is power, transformation, and shift. And he is squaring this powerful eclipse. And the main focus of this eclipse is where the new moon is happening, and that is at 21 degrees of Libra. And so this is where the sun and moon have come together, and it's time to plant new seeds. But it's on the south node. Here's the south node at 24 degrees. So it's on the south node. So when we're planting seeds here, it's almost like we need to be letting things go, because south node is the old order. South node is the old karma. It's the stuff we know. It's the patterns we've been stuck in for however long, within, particularly because of the sign of Libra, within our relationships. There's many different styles and types of relationships, and all of them may validly be brought to attention here. So just to remind you, I've set the chart for where I am, which would show that this new moon is happening in the 6th house of from where I am. This is not going to be probably true for you. So you need to go, okay, well, where do I live? And you can draw a chart up for your own time zone if you really want to understand the chart, the house that it's hitting, kind of in the space that you live in. But what I think would be more important is to look at your own chart and say, where is 21 degrees of Libra in my chart? Is it in my 1st house of myself? Is it in my 9th house of travel or spirituality? Where is it for you? Because that's the space that's going to be most impacted by this particular full moon. And as I say, also the other cardinal signs. So looking for the same degree points, I'm just going to repeat it in Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn, as well as the Libra, obviously. So that's really important because eclipses tend to have a bigger orb of influence. So that means that they are more intense in the moment, but they also kind of have a longer spin-off. So where normally we look at a lunation, a full or new moon, and we say, this is going to flavor the month, there are ways to look at it within the context of bigger cycles as well, but let's just keep it pared down to the most simplistic form. New moon is the energy that sets us up for the month or the month. Full moon is going to be the full moon energy that is held till the next new moon or even till the next full moon, but that's where it's kind of contained. Whereas eclipse seasons happen in 6 months, within 6 months of each other, and usually the eclipse season carries you to the next eclipse season. And they're working in axes. So we have an eclipse season in the axis of Aries and Libra, and then in 6 months we have an eclipse season in the axis of Aries and Libra. So it's the patterning, when you start to recognize it, is quite beautiful. There's like this amazing grand design that we don't understand. Suffice to say that this is going to be impactful and it is going to travel. But the next one, the full moon eclipse, which I will do a forecast of, will be the last eclipse in an axis, in a cycle. This one is the first eclipse in this cycle. It's the first of the Libra South Node eclipses. And so very, very important to bring in the relational aspect. Okay. Also, we have Mercury. Just make this a bit bigger, right? There we go. We have Mercury right here with Sun and Moon racing to catch up after having just undergone a very interesting unpacking of the way we think about things while he retrograded in Virgo. Now it's like he's rushing to catch Sun and Moon to say, listen, I've got some insight. I've just had this really, it's like he's gone on this really empowered retreat experience where, you know, he had to break down to break through a little and cut out some old negative patterns of thinking. And now he's coming to the Moon and Sun and going, okay, this is what we've been doing in relationship. It hasn't been working, but I've had some insights, epiphanies, and aha moments, and I want to bring it to the table. So he's very part of this dynamic as well. And it is a lot more to do with not how we want our relationships to expand so much as what we need to let go of in relationship. What power dynamic, add Pluto here, what power dynamic within my relationships in general is usually a problem? And am I the one that has to always have the power and control, or am I the one who never seems to have the power and control? And then take it to the more specific relationships. And definitely certain ones will be more flagged at any one time, really. But for this, you're going to find certain ones are flagged because it's our first eclipse of the Libra on this axis. Whatever relationship really shows up as the one to be worked through is going to more than likely, at least that one or two relationships that show up are going to be probably for the whole of this eclipse cycle of 18 months. So pay attention, because this is an opportunity to do some work, to say, I haven't been putting up boundaries with this person. I love this person, but I need to put up better boundaries. Otherwise, I'm actually going to create a bigger problem down the line. Or I've given away my power here, or I don't want to be in relationship with this person unless I'm in control, and maybe I need to get a bit more vulnerable, etc. So you're going to obviously add your own narrative to that. And again, where it is in your chart is going to give you an indication of what sort of area of the relationship is important for you. As I say, that Pluto there is also really, really important to pay attention to. And this is a little bit also, see, you've got Mercury opposite Chiron. So that also means Chiron is a little wider, but also opposite the new moon. And Chiron is a wound. So it's like going in Aries. So we're going to go into the me space and we're going to say, where am I being reactive in relationships based on my wounding? And then Mercury is going to say, and how can we balance that out a little? So some uncomfortable things may arise, but they're arising to get to more comfort levels down the line. So we're in that growth phase, no growth in the comfort zone and no comfort in the growth zone. We're in that growth phase. So I think that's important. Then we still have Venus now a bit more widely opposite Saturn, but she's recently moved out of a sign she spent a very long time in Leo, and she's doing some deep work. And Virgo's pretty disciplined. Saturn is all about discipline, but Saturn in Pisces is a little more fluid with the discipline. So there is this kind of need to balance the discipline and be a little bit more creative with it, but nonetheless disciplined. And especially because of where Venus's retrograde in Leo was, it was a little bit more also in fire, like this Aries wound and like the North Node. How do I develop my values and the way that I am and who I am and how I love and how I want to be loved in the world? Now she's come into Virgo and she's like, okay, I had all these ahas and epiphanies like Mercury did, and so now I need to, how do I actually get practical with that? How do I make that a part of my day-to-day routine, repattern myself? There's a lot for me in this particular eclipse with repatterning and unpacking. This is the old pattern that no longer serves me. It did serve me. More than likely it was a safety mechanism for me at some point in my life. But now it's actually just keeping me small or keeping me stuck. And so I have to unpack and unpattern. And then I have to start preparing to bring in healthy habitual patterning that is in the direction that I'm shifting. So I hope that makes sense. It's quite intense on that front. And we've also got Neptune, who is in a bit of an awkward space with this eclipse. It's like Neptune can't see what's going on with the eclipse, and the eclipse space can't see Neptune. But there's this almost like an irritating kind of knowing that we have to dream differently. We have to dream bigger. We have to change something, because Neptune, those are things that Neptune's about. But Neptune also sometimes is hard to see. Imagine being underneath the ocean and trying to see clearly, and underwater there's that kind of shifting, mirage-y kind of thing. So it's like, I can't quite see clearly. Now here's Virgo in the opposite sign of Venus trying to get this kind of clarity. And then there's this kind of irksome, unclear thing that is pushing us to go into a space of the unknown, which in effect is exactly what the new relational dynamic within the new earth that we are creating is. It's like, I need to change these patterns and I need to change the way I relate to others. And yet I have no idea what that newness looks like. So with that, we almost need that Neptune in Pisces going, just get into the into the unclear and the unknown, and trust that as you get closer, like if you were swimming under the ocean, you wouldn't be able to see something 3 feet ahead of you. But once it was like in front of your nose, you might be like, oh, hello, clownfish, it's you. And find your sense of humor as you go through these big, big changes. It is very impactful on relationships and partnerships of all kinds. And whether that is a resettling, if you haven't watched my card reading for this week, that might be an interesting one to watch, because I feel like it really, really tied in strongly with the energies of this particular eclipse. And yes, so we're having the double Venus eclipse. So Venus is ruling this eclipse. So it's no small thing that we look at what Venus's dynamic is, not specifically actually very clearly seeing the eclipse space herself, but very specifically what the work that she is doing and the mood that she's in is going to be influencing how that eclipse happens, because her mood is kind of resonant in her space, which is Libra and Taurus. and Taurus is going to have its own eclipse, and it's almost like another expression of Libra. It's of Venus, sorry. So it's going to have a different feel, and of course, one is a solar eclipse and one is a lunar eclipse. And so there will be a different energy, but they will both have Venusian stuff. And also at that point, Venus will be having different conversations in the sky. So it is a very relational dynamic. Venus is very much about relationship and drawing things to her. She is an attractor of energy, of experience. So what am I attracting right now? And what of that I am attracting do I want to keep attracting? And what of that I am attracting do I not? And how do I figure that out? How do I get discerning? Virgo Venus is very discerning. So how do I get discerning? How do I drill down on my boundaries and where are my energy levels? What can I commit to and what can't I? And that sort of thing. So I hope this has been helpful. Let me just stop the share. And I look forward to hearing your feedback and getting your support and understanding of what you're feeling of this particular lunation. And I wish you so much luck. Please remember to like, share, follow, subscribe, and also check out that weekly reading if you haven't already. And I look forward to seeing you on the next forecast. Thanks for watching.